Hey, welcome back to the Break Room Podcast. I am joined by my good friends Joe and Chris. Unfortunately, we don't have Vin in the studio this week. He had some prior engagements. It's his mom's birthday, so happy birthday to Vin's mom. But we got an exciting show for you guys. We got a few topics coming up. We're going to kick off the show with some of the toy hauls that I got. But before I do that, I wanted to introduce my little furry son, Joey.
Ooh.
I'm watching little Joey Katana for his mom, Mandy, the real-life Lois, while she does painting because she doesn't want the fumes, him breathing on any of the shit. And she also uses glitter and stuff, so she don't want him eating it. And he always has fun here, so
Mink.
He's keeping me company while my dad's on a cruise in the Bahamas.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
Oh, is that where he is?
Look
I was
at
wondering
this.
where your pops was.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, he's with his buddy, and they went on a cruise to the island of Nassau in the Bahamas.
Wow.
I said he could have just went to the county in Nassau, but
Help.
Let's say hello to the people, Joey.
Speaking of the people, we are already joined from the dungeon.
Hey, welcome.
He just mentioned here. He said it's good to see you guys back. We did take a break last week because we had fucking flooding and all kinds of fucking shitstorm going on last week.
We're underwater like the Gungans.
Yeah, it was fucking nuts.
Yes, I don't think can you better than we, sir. Me, yes, I like this. Maybe we, sir, being friends.
Love it. Gotta love the Gungans. And yes, to your point from the dungeon, I am recovering from some fucking brutal oral surgery, but I got some pills. So.
Brutal oral? Jeez.
Yeah, some brutal oral.
Chris doesn't like oral. Side note.
Depends. I think the human mouth is a very
Here we
disgusting
go.
thing.
Here we go.
I don't like teeth. I don't like.
Oh
I don't
my
like mouths.
God. Well, Joey has no teeth. You would love him.
That's
Joey's got
disgusting.
no
You're a sick fuck.
My
You're a
God.
sick bastard.
You sick.
I'm gonna get us
fuck.
kicked off of YouTube for talking about bestiality and fucking oral sex in the first fucking 4 minutes of the show.
Listen, you started it. You don't need to tell the fucking crowd you had oral surgery. It's too much
Well,
info.
from the dungeon knows already. He was wondering where we're
down
at.
to the mouth. You can't
Well, that's why I'm not gonna be talking as much today. My fucking mouth hurts over here.
Salt him a little bit. Salt him a little bit.
All right,
No
so as
insult.
far as the toy haul,
Let's see the hole.
so today I actually picked this up. I went to Target with my niece. I had to babysit her a little bit while she got out of school, but went over the toy aisle, and this is Robert Grunt Graves, one of the first G.I. Joes from the 82 line. They were called the straight arm Joes because before they had the swivel feature in their arm, their arm was literally just a elbow bend joint, which kind of made them suck for like posing and stuff because it was kind of hard for them to hold the rifles and whatnot. So the next wave after that, they ended up coming out with what they called the swivel arm, and that was the widely used version of the joints. But in keeping with the theme of G.I. Joe,
G.I. Joe.
I went on Amazon, and they had a big sale on a lot of the Super 7 G.I. Joe figures.
What's a big sale?
So normally these figures are $55, and I think for Duke alone, I think I paid like $31.
Let me ask you a question. I was at the city a couple of weeks ago, and I went to Midtown Comics, and I sent you that picture. Did that whet your appetite to get the Super 7 line?
No, what happened was I was, fucking the algorithms and all that shit know how to get you all the time.
Yeah.
So I think I was searching for something else, and it just popped up as things that I viewed in the past were on sale.
Yep.
And Duke was on sale, Cobra Commander was on sale, Snake Eyes was on sale, and Destro was on sale. And I'm like,
It's a win.
fuck.
Is that what's in that stack over there?
So that's the stack
Yeah,
over
get it
there.
on the
So I'm
camera.
going to show them all
Oh,
one
I
by
got to
one.
see these.
This table's looking a
We're
little
going to
too
start
open here.
with the first sergeant himself, Duke. And I'm going to show that off on camera. And you can see that he is styled after the cartoon version. So that's the very first character you see when they do the intro to the show. You see the planes fly over, and then you see Duke go, "Yo, Joe!" And that's, tell me that's
Rob,
not
give me
amazing.
the theme song.
G.I. Joe is the code name for America's daring, highly trained Special Mission Force. Its purpose to defend human freedom against Cobra, a ruthless terrorist organization determined to rule the world. Tell me that isn't fucking cool.
Yeah, pass that my way. I might be able to get a better up close shot of that.
These are
exceptional. Pass this over.
These are primo.
Let's see if we got a better shot of this here.
We're gonna alternate here. We're gonna switch over to Cobra.
Oh, that's my favorite.
This is such a fucking cool toy.
He's definitely Italian because he wears necklaces and gold rings and stuff.
He's this is Destro. So
last name is a vowel.
The interesting thing about Destro is that he is not necessarily Cobra. He's an arms dealer that actually sells arms to both G.I. Joe and Cobra. He's like one of these guys that plays on both sides of the fence. And he also has his own military force called the Iron Grenadiers. He was introduced in the early lines of the G.I. Joe. He was a pivotal character in the cartoon, always at Cobra Commander's side, and one of my all-time favorite figures because it was a really cool figure with like a black outfit
chrome head.
And a chrome head. It was a very different-looking character. And I'm going to pass this over to Joe so he can inspect the Destro. And, once again, Super 7 really fucking knocked it out of the park.
Let me get that. Let me get a close up on
this
that.
is hold on, motherfucker.
Well, I'm saying it's blurry for the people watching at home. They can't see shit.
I want to look at this shit. I'll give it to you.
Selfish bastard.
Hold your horses, you son of a...
Well, he's already moving on to the next fucking toy. I want to show him before he...
Jesus fucking Christ, Christopher.
Moron.
I was ready to film 2 hours ago, Christopher.
Yeah, see them nice up close. They can see what the fuck they're actually looking at here.
There you go.
Yeah,
Blam.
Nice.
He does look like a fucking... He looks like the guy that's in front of you in line at the deli. Fucking taking
I want extra cream cheese, Commander.
Stupid. Stack these up on the table there. We got so much open table space.
I can't stack them, but here, stand them up. You can put them in the corner there. And then next up, one of my favorite Joes of all time, one of a lot of people's favorite Joes of all time. This is Snake Eyes. This is the G.I. Joe Ninja. And what's really cool about this figure is that he comes with Timber, who is his wolf that he ended up rescuing in the original miniseries called Real American Hero, where they debuted the cartoon show made by Sunbow, and they ended up creating a series after that. But it was actually like a one-off little short miniseries to introduce a lot of the characters and the vehicles and all these things. Most of the things that you saw on television in the 80s was to promote some kind of toy line.
Yes.
Masters of the Universe, G.I. Joe,
Ninja Turtles, He-Man.
He-Man was really like the one because they were a toy line that ended up creating a cartoon and comic series based on the toy line, but it started as a toy. And an interesting thing about He-Man is that they originally tried to be Conan figures, but they didn't get the licensing agreement, so they ended up developing their own barbarian style character.
I love the Toys That Made Us show on Netflix.
I'm gonna show them real quick.
Oh wow! This is a true to cartoon.
That's what I'm saying.
Don't move on yet.
Not moving on yet. I'm saving the best for last.
We do have some questions here too. From the dungeon, he asked. Here, let me get this up on the screen here. Upside down. There we go.
There you go.
He said,
"It's a big reflection."
Rob,
so angle it.
Yeah, it's a tough part. Rob, how do you feel about them using cardboard in that plastic in the front of the box? I heard some people are saying that some of the toys.
I think it's horse shit. I want to be able to see the toys that I buy, even if I'm not going to open them. Like, it's nice to be able to see them.
What if the paint job's fucked up? Like, I'm OCD with that shit. Like, what if the fucking eyes are, like, fucking cross-eyed or something? Like, that's a big part of me when I go into a store and I pick out a fucking figure. I want to make sure that it looks good, and even if I'm not taking it out of the box and unboxing it. So Hasbro and a couple other these companies and Mattel are doing this no plastic, clear window to actually give you a preview of the figure.
I get it for the environmental friendliness of it, but, like, God, it fucking sucks.
We use plastic in so many other ways. Like, come on, I don't want to hear it.
All right, and last but not least, certainly not least,
my favorite.
The main adversary and the leader of the Cobras is none other than Cobra Commander, and this is a really interesting figure because they give him the cape. They have an alternate helmet where it's more true to the cartoon as opposed to the toy line.
That's the
He's got
OG
the little
Cobra.
silver.
That's like season 1, season 2 Cobra Commander.
The only thing that I would have added to this, if I was going to add anything, is that sometimes he had an alternate helmet. Instead of a helmet, he had a rag over his face.
That's true.
So if they had included him with a rag face, that would have been really cool.
Well, this is the original.
But this is the very original cartoon version. The toy version didn't have like this silver bar on the top of his helmet, but in the cartoon he did. So they include both versions of that helmet. Of course, he's got his snake staff, alternate hands. You know, that's what's great about these is that they're highly detailed. They show a lot of Easter eggs from the shows that they are from, including the Ninja Turtles line, which maybe at another time I'll share a picture to the show.
It's a cloth cape too.
Yeah, it's cloth.
That's always cool. What does his voice sound like, Rob?
Oh, Cobra Commander. He'd be like, "Retreat! Retreat!
That's
You
Starscream.
fools!"
That's Starscream.
Yeah, it's
the same
Starscream
actor,
and Cobra Commander are one and the same.
Close up on that guy.
But man, G.I. Joe was definitely a part of my childhood because of my older brother. He was a huge G.I. Joe fan. And then my mom worked in the local library, and they had a VHS set of this Real American Hero miniseries that I was mentioning. And got it. But I used to rent that tape like over and over and over again, just rewatching the shit. And so it was like definitely a part of my childhood, even more so almost than He-Man, because He-Man, there really wasn't a whole lot of availability in Blockbuster and stuff of getting any of the tapes and being able to watch the show. I think it wasn't until I was around 8 or 9 when we were finally able to get our hands on some He-Man tapes, and I was finally able to hear what Skeletor actually sounded like, because I used to play with the toys, but I didn't have the cartoon for reference back then.
Let me ask you two off-topic questions. Well, two topic-related questions. One, who else is in this line that they've made so far?
Well, they actually just had a new wave come out.
Zartan and the twins is in the set?
No. There is a Zartan. The twins are not part of it yet. If I'm not mistaken, I think they've announced a Serpentor for this line.
Wow.
What
about Lady J?
They just came with a Lady J and a Flint. The Flint looks just like he's about to say, knowing is half the battle, right from the PSAs. I'm trying to think. I think they came out with the Viper. They came out with some bats, Billy Bats. They came out with the red version of Baroness, and they do have a Baroness too. I didn't scoop her. She wasn't on sale, and I wasn't paying $55 just for her. Scarlet, of course. I'm waiting for her to go on sale because she was definitely one of my favorite Joes.
Yeah. Speaking of favorite Joes, I know the answer is Sergeant Slaughter. Besides Sergeant Slaughter, who was your go-to figure as a kid that you always had to have and play with?
I used to like General Flag too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I liked his like brown leather jacket and the helmet.
For me, it was Beachhead. He was always my favorite figure to play with. And Quick Kick.
Quick Kick was a cool figure.
There's no Storm Shadow?
There is a Storm Shadow. He was also not on sale.
Oh, you got to get Storm
He's
Shadow.
part of a different line than these. These were like the first wave.
He's like top 5 dead or alive. You know.
Another couple of questions here from the Dungeon Ass. Rob, do you think that the Super 7s are better than the original?
And it's hard to say. I mean, the nostalgia factor and the playability with the original ones is hard to beat. But the O-ring is definitely a damning thing to the original toy line because they were easily broken. But in the interim, they're also easily fixed. You know, you buy like one of these small little O-rings, you unscrew the one screw on the back, and you can rehook up the entire figure and fix them back brand new. These figures are highly detailed. They're on a completely different scale. These are 7-inch action figures. They have swappable parts like hands and faces and shit, which you don't get with, you know, those original action figures. You know, they're meant to be played with, the original ones. These ones are meant for for high-end collectors to either open and
Display.
pose or to leave in the box. Like that's what these are intended for. These are collectors' toys as opposed to a child's everyday toy. You wouldn't buy this for a 5-year-old and introduce them to G.I. Joe.
There's nothing like playing with G.I. Joes when you're a kid, especially the 3 3/4 ones, because they came with so many different weapons. They fit into any vehicle, any play set. Like you felt like you were really having like a true battle in a war. Sitting on your living room floor. I just spent countless hours of my childhood playing with the G.I. Joes and all the vehicles and all the.
And the scaling of those toys was intentional because they made them to be the same size as the Star Wars figures because those were the most popular toys in the world at that time.
Yeah.
So a lot of toy companies followed suit. There were some that purposely did not, like He-Man and Thundercats and whatnot, but G.I. Joe saw the value in having a smaller scale toy, and especially with the fact that now I don't have to take up in a corner of my house to have a Jeep and a plane and like this and that. Like you can have more accessories because they're downscaled. The original 12-inch G.I. Joes, it was very cumbersome to have a lot of that shit. And that's why a lot of it doesn't exist anymore because people didn't want to dedicate the space in their house to so many toys.
Yeah.
So they would get rid of a lot of those 12-inch Joes, or they would break them, or, boys will be boys. They'll wrap them up in firecrackers and fuck up G.I. Joe. But with the 3 3/4 inch, it was easier to store. And there was a lot more to offer because, they just had like 12-inch dolls with outfit swaps and they were more expensive. But these guys could be sold for like $2-3 back then.
Now, forget it.
Now you $55 for each one of these guys, which is fucked up.
Get it.
Which goes back to the argument that these are for collectors and not necessarily
100%. They're nostalgic collecting. That's what it is.
Exactly. But yeah, I'm happy with them. I saw them and immediately sprang on them and fucking pre-ordered every single one. And I realized I had a cart of like $450 of fucking G.I. Joe figures. And I'm like, I got to cancel this. Like I canceled the pre-order. I dumped it. And I'm glad now because now that I waited, I was able to get these for a significant discounted price. And the quality isn't any less, know. So
for me, there's 2 companies right now that are doing figures correctly, especially for collectors like us who are buying stuff that we had as our childhood memories, and we're just being nostalgic about it, and we're trying to buy back either stuff that we had or stuff that we had that's different and updated. And I think the 2 companies that are just top tier is Super 7 and NECA.
NECA makes really good toys, but what I've found is that with some of the older series of NECA figures, their ankle joints are really weak. And if you open them up and try to pose them, their feet will either become really loose or straight up break off. But I have heard that they've made improvements in the recent years based on feedback from customers that the stuff is just breaking. And it's like, what the hell is the point of having a toy that I can't open? It looks nice in the box, but if I want to pose this stuff, because especially with that company in particular, NECA has been coming out with play sets of the Ninja Turtles lair, or like the little portal that Donatello makes that ends up putting them in like Easter World or whatever.
Yeah.
So they're creating like dioramas to go with the toys. Oh, there goes Brian Griffin.
Oh, good Brian.
From the dungeon mentioned that NECA is super delicate. They break very easily.
That's what I'm saying. It's like their toys look cool, but
they're not meant to be played with. They're adult.
But I should be able to stand it up. Like I've only opened one Super 7 figure. Like I don't consider this open. These are still in the box. They're still taped up. They've never been touched by human hands. With the only one that I ever bought and opened up was the Disguise Raphael figure. And let me tell you, they feel great. They have the best action figure smell I've smelled since the Toy Biz days. Like going to
No, LGN wrestlers are the best smelling figures of all time.
I never opened one of those.
Oh, man.
Never opened one. The ones that I had, I told you, my dad found them in the garbage.
Didn't smell good from that.
Definitely not. No, I had Superfly Jimmy Snuka covered in garbage, and Jake the Snake Roberts. He got me those 2 wrestlers from the garbage, and then the only other ones I had
the garbage
was the
podcast.
WCW Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan.
San Francisco toy maker, yeah.
Interesting. Just some other points in the comments here. From the dungeon said, Rob, hey Rob, you collect the Superpower reissues from the DC tours? Toys?
I ended up getting the Superman and Batman from that new line.
The McFarlane line, you talking? The Walmart exclusive stuff?
Yeah, the blue Superpowers
yes,
ones. Yeah.
I bought a couple of those as well.
Did you see the black Keaton style one?
I did see that because that's a node to the... so, fun fact...
Zipline.
Yeah, so fun fact about that figure, when the 89 Batman came out, and they did the promo shots of the figure, it was basically the blue and gray Batman just painted all black. So it looks very similar to the original blue and gray Batman. When the figure actually came out, it was completely redesigned, new body, new head, new sculpt, new everything. So on the back of the card on the 89 Batman, figure series line, it shows a different looking figure, and McFarlane is putting that figure in the box. They also are putting in the traditional logo blue and gray Batman in the box. The one that we got, I think, in Walmart like a year and a half ago is a blue and gray Batman, but it just has the bat logo. It doesn't have the yellow Batman logo, and I didn't really like it, so I might have to scoop the other one up. But the Superman is a must-have. That one, everybody's got to have Superman.
I didn't love the redesign that they did for Wonder Woman, though. I would have preferred the classic Wonder
Yeah,
Woman with the Star-Spangled Underwear and all
I
that
agree.
shit.
I agree.
Yeah, it was an interesting design choice if they stuck with the classic outfits for everyone, but
they are coming out with the Batmobile that was in that Superpowers line, which I might have to scoop because I love that Batmobile.
Yeah, the Super Friends.
Super Friends Batmobile.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Justice.
Oh, man.
To that point, too, from the dungeon also mentioned, he said, did you see how much Black Manta from the McFarlane toy line is going for?
No.
Superpowers is going on eBay for almost $100.
For the Black Manta from that line?
I guess so.
I mean, to be fair, I did not see him in the store. I just went to Walmart the other day. I had to buy a new plastic bin to put all the fucking shit down.
Jesus Christ.
You see it, how big it is.
Yes.
It's full to the brim already.
Plastic bin.
It's terrible.
I actually need one. You got that at Walmart?
Yes.
I need one of those for my wrestling
It's
stuff.
fantastic. Oh, and
that.
so I didn't show them off because I already put them in there, but I ended up getting 2 of those Crimson Guards from G.I. Joe.
You're a sick man.
But they come on the boxes that look like the original boxes, but they're 6-inch scale. So they're really cool looking. They have the file card and all that shit. But in fact, that Destro that I opened up over there, that was on one of the original looking cards too. But the box was a little shingad, but I was fine with it because I wanted to open them anyway because I had the Baroness already open.
We also have 23rd Productions, which I'm going to guess is Jacob. He mentioned he's going to see Peter Roos. Shout out to Peter Roos. Going to be at that Halloween party. What other toys? Any other toy stuff? I was looking while we're talking about toys. I'm probably going to be Obi-Wan Kenobi for Halloween.
Hello
and
there.
I was looking at some of the Black Series lightsabers, but they're up there. It's like 200.
It's at least $100 if you're gonna buy one of the FX lightsabers.
At least $250 if you're gonna.
That much
for an Obi-Wan Kenobi Black Series saber.
They're that much now, Jim.
Yeah, that's less than they were. I'm seeing them for like 300.
Yeah, it's fucked up. That's bad.
I think that's a good segue to talk about our primo topic of the week. Obi-Wan and Star Wars, and we just finished watching the finale of the first season of Ahsoka, and I thought that we can kick it off, maybe if you wanted to kick it off, Chris, your thoughts on the finale, and then if you could give us a complete review of the entire season.
Do we want to do a scoring type of thing?
Yes.
Give it a score. Season score and finale score?
Yeah, give your impression of the finale and give your overall score of the season.
Well, I'm going to just mention before I start that 23rd Productions is saying, it looks like it's covered up for me there, but it looks like he's saying that Ahsoka fell flat, which I couldn't disagree more. I'll say, honestly, I wasn't initially totally sold on Ahsoka when it first started. I didn't, fall in love with it. I didn't watch Clone Wars or Rebels, so
yeah,
it took a little bit longer, but I'd say each episode I liked it more and more. Same thing with Grand Admiral Thrawn. His first appearance, I wasn't totally sold on him. I have this preconceived idea of Thrawn from the books, and he didn't have a lot of dialogue, and he looked a little.
I'm
older.
sorry, I can't unsee Elon Musk. When
I
I
know,
see him.
yeah, it's tough.
It's really bad.
I will say that each episode, because he was Thrawn was in 3 episodes total, I think, right? The last 3,
6, 7, 8.
Each episode he got better and better. I really enjoyed the finale. Perhaps. I really enjoyed the finale. When I was watching it, the thing that was crossing my mind was, oh my God, fucking zombie Star Wars. It's fucking zombie Star Wars. That's like the crossover. And Rob has mentioned, yes, we've seen some fucking necromancy in Star Wars, yes. But this is the first time that we've seen fucking zombie stormtroopers. And I just thought that was really fucking cool.
that was a lot of fun.
It was fun.
I mean, we've seen the Night Sisters animate bodies in Dathomir, both in the Clone Wars show and in the Fallen Order video game with Cal Kestis, the first one. But as far as my knowledge, which I could be wrong, but I think this is the first time we've seen zombie stormtroopers.
Zombies.
With the green glow in the eyes. That was sick.
You're used to them, going down immediately and then just, mowing through armies of stormtroopers. But to see them get back up
and just keep coming back.
It's, those Night Sisters of Dathomir are a fucking problem.
Yeah, and it was interesting that they took out Morgan Elsbeth.
Yeah, but it's getting into spoilers of the last episode, but fuck that because it's been out long enough.
We say that every time, and every time, everyone who watches this
I like to give the warning, but the sick ass necromancer sword.
The sword of what's his name?
That was cool.
The guy, it had a name. It was like the sword of whoever the fuck, some guy's name.
Shit.
Green glow on it. It was dope.
Cool katana. And if you notice,
Ahsoka owns it.
Yes, because one of Ahsoka's sabers got destroyed. I think it got sliced by that sword. But then Ahsoka grabbed it, and I think that's actually what she killed her with, right? She hit her with her own sword.
Lightsaber and her own sword, and cuts her to death.
And now she holds it. So that was pretty cool.
Yep.
Definitely now feeling much more like a samurai type of thing.
Yeah, she's a Ronin, and they even mentioned
called her a
in
Ronin.
the show Ronin, which I said earlier in the show. I was like, she's like a Ronin.
Yep, you did. A week or two ago.
There it is.
I would say it was a slow start. Again, I didn't watch Rebels or Clone Wars, so if you ask me on episode 2 or 3, I'll get there. It's a lot to get through.
Especially that I know you're going to enjoy Rebels. You're going to be kicking yourself that you're going to watch it sooner.
Little by little.
You're going to enjoy Rebels so much, you're probably going to go back and watch Ahsoka again and appreciate it more.
And this is why I love when we have our guests on the show here from the dungeon in the comments. Thankfully, he's giving us the name. It's called the Blade of Talzin. And then Vin's here as well. He said Blade of Talzin. Just also mentioning some of the comments here. Adam AK said, after watching the season, I will say Baylan Skoll is the best Star Wars character. And it's cut off a little bit here. In at least the past 10 years. I can't go. I like his character. I won't go that far because we didn't get to see enough. Maybe that's part of what makes him
breaks
such
my heart that fucking Ray Stevenson is gone because he was so enthusiastic about the role too. I had seen an interview with him at Star Wars Celebration, talking about using the lightsaber for the first time and how just like everybody else fell into the trap of going vroom vroom using the lightsaber the first time, and he's like, "Don't worry about it. Everybody does it."
Yeah. He was definitely a good character. We can't help but wonder, what's going to happen now. They ended it with him just,
it's
on the cliff
interesting
there.
because now they're starting to go back into the story with the Father, the Daughter, and the Son, with the
Holy Ghost
balance of the Force, and that was something that was delved into in the Clone Wars show.
Right.
They sought out Anakin Skywalker, and Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka end up on this ship with them. And they basically test Anakin to see if he really is the chosen one.
You're the chosen one. I loved you.
Because he's the only one that has the power to tame both the light and dark side, which were the daughter and the son. And there's a whole story behind that, and that leads to, the owl thing that appears to Ahsoka in the end of the show. That has a significance because a lot of people speculate that the daughter reincarnates into that owl.
It's like the fucking Holy Trinity or something.
And one thing that I had forgotten from Norse mythology is that Skoll and Hati are two wolves that chase the moon and the sun in Norse mythology. And it's Balin's skull and Shin Hati, so it's interesting that they adopted those names
Shin
from
Hati?
Norse mythology. Yeah.
She
She's a hottie. She is a hottie.
There's definitely a lot of questions, and I want to get to the lingering questions. But
I want to hear a score.
yeah, just to get on that. If you asked me at the beginning of the season what my score was, I would have been like 7.88. You know, again, it's a little. Filoni's brand is a little yay, which that's what Star Wars is. It's for kids. So I have to, you know, also check myself and remember this is for kids, and there's going to be some, you know, yay type of stuff. But at the end with the finale and everything that they wrapped it up, it just got better and better. And I think that's what you want, is for it to get better and better. And, you know, if you asked me to rate the finale episode itself, honestly, like the last 2 episodes, I would have given it, you know, around a 9 probably. So if I were to round this whole season off, I'd say started with like 7.88 for me. This is my own opinion, again, based off of the ignorance of not watching the prior content. I think it ended in like the, you know, 9.2 area. If I were to average it out for the whole season, I would give this season either an 8.9 or a 9. I'll give it. And honestly, if everything was like the last couple of episodes, then it would have been a 9 or a 10. And that's also, you know, part of starting a new show and having a new series and having to, you know, build all these characters. Of course, it's going to start slow. Of course, there's going to be world building and you know, you're going to want more in the beginning. And now they've given it, we're at the point where we want more and more. So, you know, I fully expect season 2. By that point, I'll have watched Rebels and Clone Wars, I'm sure. Maybe I'll even watch Donnie Brasco before then.
Oh, God.
And I'm sure, you know, I'll be right up there in the 9s or the 10s. Absolutely.
So I'm also similar in how you kind of talked about, like, the initial episodes. And I watched the whole season with my girlfriend who has no remembrance of any of these characters. I know very slightly more than she does. I also did not watch Rebels. I did not watch Clone Wars. I did not read any of the audio, you know, any of the books or listen to any of the audio books. So I went in this completely blind. So the little things that occur in the show, the little nuances, the little, like, you know, things that you catch, I don't have any recollection of that. So I'm going in this as fresh. She went in it as fresh. Also, shout out to her. She it was a birthday last week, and she was in Disney, and she got me this shirt. It's a 40th anniversary Return of the Jedi shirt, which makes me feel bad but happy because she got me a shirt. But I'm now older than Return of the Jedi. It's fucking horrible to say that out loud.
I love that Salacious Crumb made it to the shirt.
Yeah. It says Jabba the Hutt shirt, Salacious Crumb. Love Return of the Jedi. It's up there for me, top 2. But yes, as someone who has no, you know, vision, or I have no, like, remembrance of any of the lore behind Ahsoka and all that other stuff, it was hard for me to kind of really, like, sink my teeth into this. But I will say that you're spot on about it's like going up an escalator. Each episode got better and better and better, more action-packed. My only slight gripe would be about Rosario Dawson's acting. I thought she was very dry. I thought she lacked charisma. Any kind of, like, she didn't really have any kind of fire to her or any kind of, like...
I think that was intentional, though.
It was boring. It was boring and dry. I don't care how intentional it was. It didn't come off good on the screen.
I wouldn't say lacked charisma.
You know what I mean?
It seemed like she was overconfident and kind of just like a little standoffish.
Looked bored.
Yeah, standoffish.
I think we're going to see a different Ahsoka henceforth after the completion of her training with Anakin Skywalker. That's my opinion.
Is it complete, or are they still doing? You think
well, that's what it was. That's why she, you know, in the world in between where she faces off with Anakin Skywalker.
Right.
I think that was like kind of like the moment for her to like complete her training with Anakin Skywalker and kind of like find herself again. Because in the end, I guess Anakin really did, you know, gain the power to save the people he loves because he was able to help Ahsoka through her, I guess, challenges beyond the grave. So he was able to.
I have the power to save the ones you love.
He saved Luke Skywalker from the Emperor. He saved Ahsoka from herself.
Yeah.
Oh man.
If I had to put a bow on it and kind of give the entire season in its entirety a score, I'm similar to you, but I probably would, because I haven't watched Rebels yet. I don't know if I will. I'm not big on those kind of like the animation cartoons. I don't know. I've tried. Like Vin has been telling me for months and months, gotta watch it. It's not just a cartoon. Watch it. I've tried. It doesn't retain my attention. I just can't do it.
It takes several episodes, but it grows on you. And then you slowly kind of start.
We'll see if this winter we got a lot of shit to watch. So, final score for me: season 1 of Ahsoka, 8.3.
Season finale. What do you rate?
Season finale, I probably would give it a 9.
Nice.
Yeah.
I do want to mention too, though, to your point about Ahsoka being a little bit muted. I mean, when have you seen a samurai or ninja or Ronin?
Well, I get it. She's reserved and
like
she's like Leonardo is in Turtles, where he's the quiet one. He's the leader. He's focused. I would have liked a little bit more intensity out of her, especially towards the last couple of scenes that she was in.
What's interesting though is, I know in Clone Wars and Rebels, she is more like that. So I think what's happening now is you're having like a flipping of roles.
She's also
now
witty.
She's the master.
She's pretty witty as well.
She's definitely witty. She's the master now, and now Sabine is like that. That
feisty,
passionate, feisty character.
Yeah,
so it's kind of like a full rounding out.
It just it was my first viewing of Ahsoka, the character in itself. Like I know snippets from what I've seen and what you guys, snips, for what you guys have like mentioned, but like that was really my first look at the portrayal of how Ahsoka character would be from her. I just think she was flat.
And then before we move on to some of the comments and then Rob's rating, what do you think of Thrawn?
I said, man, I can't unsee Elon Musk. I
don't past that.
I thought he was cool. I thought he was menacing.
Very
I thought
menacing.
he was very. I like the music,
the organs,
and the humming, and I thought like all his like entourage, like it looks fucking dope. Like I'm interested more now in this world than I was before I started this. So I'm interested to see if they're able to branch this show out and do a movie. Avengers scale. We've been talking at that.
It's happening.
Some of Mandalorian, some of Obi-Wan, some of Ahsoka, and kind of make it into a movie. Or if they're just going to do a season 2 of this, I'm all in. I'm ready to go.
Rob, I want to get to your rating, but we do have a lot of comments here, so let's just take a look at some of them. There's a lot of action going here, and I think Jacob might have said something stupid. So we're gonna look at this. Let's go back here. So, and after your rating, Rob, I want to address some of the lingering questions that we have with Ahsoka, but Vin said, when did Star Wars not have a weird little race of innocents? That's true, too, because, I mean, these Nori or whatever, these little, like, crab people, I was like, all right, fuck it, I don't care about them. They kind of, they were cute, but I don't really give a fuck about them. But then I also remind myself, I'm like, these are like the Jawas, like, or the
Ewoks.
The Ewoks, rather. Yeah, there's always these weird little innocent races of whatever. So
my girlfriend loved those things, by the way.
Oh, well, good. So all right, at least they're winning some people over. I'm sure there'll be plenty of toys and stuff.
Yeah.
From the Dungeon said, this is what episode 7, 8, and 9 should have been with Thrawn. That's true. I mean, but they built up Thrawn. They made us want him.
Yes.
So I am glad about that. From the Dungeon says 8.5. I'm gonna guess this is season rating. 23rd Productions, which I'm just gonna say Jacob from now on. Says 4.5.
Woo.
Less bad than the Obi-Wan series.
Woo.
And then he's obviously knew that was foolish to say, but from the Dungeon, and Vin and Jake and Adam were all picking him apart for that.
There's some fire going on right now.
He said less bad than Obi-Wan series. No one hid under a trench coat, which gives it a base level of 3.5. He's let's see here. These series should be able to stand on their own without watching an animated series.
I do agree with that. I
think it did, though, because I didn't watch the animated series, and it by the fucking Siri. What the fuck are you doing, Siri?
Animated Siri?
You can't say seriously without fucking Siri popping up.
That's it.
Well, let's see what else he's saying here. So, should be able to stand on its own. I think by the end, it does stand on its own. They have to. It's a fucking extension of whatever Filoni was doing. So, of course, it's an extension of an animated series. But by the end of it, it didn't really matter if you saw, everything building up beforehand. So, Adam AK is saying that he'll give it a solid 8.5. Then 23rd Productions said he'd give Andor an 8.5. From the Dungeon said Andor sucked. I never watched Andor because I think that the
I didn't
worst
even finish Andor.
worst piece of Star Wars material that ever came out, in my opinion, was Rogue One. So I really don't give a fuck about Andor. That's what I sacrificed dialogue with some of the best writing in the whole franchise. All right, so wait, somebody said, all right, Jacob, you're clearly fucking off of your meds because you just said that the first couple of seasons of Mando's you'd give a 7, and that's fucking nonsense.
Season
Mando
2
is
of
the
Mando was perfection.
Yeah, you're
Mando.
fucking crazy.
No.
Mando is the best Star Wars that
He's
we've
a
maybe ever had.
He's a Russian judge. Mandalorian Season 1 revitalized our interest in Star Wars after those other fucking sequels ruined it. Yeah. And Mandalorian Season 2 righted all the wrongs that they did with Luke Skywalker and The Last Jedi. It was the way Luke should have been this entire fucking time. To me, it is prime Star Wars, Mandalorian Season 2. That is the best Star Wars that we have seen since this movie, Return of the Jedi.
Cowboy
in my opinion.
Star Wars.
In my opinion.
I'm loving all that. I loved Obi-Wan. I loved Mando.
I did love Obi-Wan. But Mando Season 2 is the best Star Wars since Return of the Jedi.
And I love Book of Boba.
I'll fight anybody to the death on that.
Oh, the music, yeah. Deafness.
Help.
Jacob's accusing us of being fanboys. Of course we're Star Wars fanboys. What the fuck else are we? They're wearing fucking Star Wars shirts, for crying out loud.
I have Baby
But
Yoda on
they
my
also
shirt.
tear apart Star Wars when it's
I
bad.
dare you
do.
say these
So
things in front of my
there's
Baby Yoda
definitely
shirt.
critical.
I gave it an
there.
8.3. I'm not like glistening over it. And wait
Yeah,
till
yeah,
Rob.
that's-
Rob is gonna. He's gonna. You know. He's the.
Oh.
So what is it, Rob?
All
What's,
right, Rob,
what's your
let's hear
rating
it.
on the season finale and your season as a whole as somebody that did
Season
watch
finale,
everything before?
I'd give the season finale a 9. I'd give the series overall 9.4.
Woo.
Well, hold on. That doesn't make sense to me because the season finale would be the highest rated episode.
Actually, my favorite episode was episode 5, when they did the flashbacks to the Clone Wars, where she's training with Anakin.
Oh yeah, that was.
That was my favorite episode of that series.
Yeah. Especially
Of the-
when
of
he
that
had
entire
little Ahsoka.
season, I would
Yeah.
say that was the top tier storytelling. That was the pinnacle. There was nothing wrong with that episode. There was nothing felt lacking in that episode. It was everything that it could have been and more. Between the visual effects, the story plot moving forward, the closure that she gets, everything about it. Everything about it was top tier.
So that's a 10.
That
episode's a 10 for you then.
episode alone was like a 9.8. And I think that raises the average of the entire show to a 9.4 for me. Because every episode was like a 9, except for that one. That was like a 9.8. So that brings it to a 9.4.
Give me some context to your 9.4. Give me some reasoning why that, things that you saw in each episode or, as the season as a whole that really like warmed your heart as a Star Wars fan, especially someone who's seen all of Rebels and you've read all the books. Because between you and Vin, I think you guys probably didn't miss a beat on any of this stuff. And it sucks that Vin's not here this week, but he'll give his take the next time he's on the show.
I'm unique.
He is in the comments.
I'm unique in this squad of guys because I'm kind of a combination between Chris and Vin. Because Vin watched all of the animated series, Chris listened to all the books. I consumed all of the media going into the show. And I think that's why I appreciated the show that much more.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't that I watched Rebels when it came out. It wasn't that I watched Clone Wars when it came out. I watched them all recently, and it was all fresh in mind. So when I went into this show, I had a fresh base of knowledge between the books, building up Thrawn and who he is and where he comes from, getting Ahsoka's story, the Clone Wars, especially that last season, really tells you the story of what happens to Ahsoka after she leaves the Jedi Order. The Execute Order 66. Bad Batch actually goes more into that as well, how the stormtroopers get phased in, and the clone troopers get phased out. Another fantastic show. I was really on like a Star Wars high going into this show. And then this show is the product of all of those stories. This is the culmination and what happens and like the resolution to so many stories that those series told. It leaves it on a huge cliffhanger on Rebels that it's like, well, fuck, Thrawn is gone, but so is Ezra. What happened to all these people? Kanan, it's kind of a spoiler for you because you haven't watched the show, but Kanan Jarrus dies, so that's why he's not around in Rebels. In Ahsoka. Who the fuck is Harrison Dula? Who the fuck is Chopper? Who the fuck are any of these people? Why should I care about them? Rebels is the show for you. If you want to know what the story is with Ahsoka and her relationship with Anakin Skywalker and why that's such a hard subject, you got to watch Clone Wars. You know what I mean? And that's what's interesting about all this stuff. And now, because we've listened to the Thrawn books, well, now Thrawn's back. Does Thrawn go back to the Chiss ascendancy? Does he check up on Eli Vanto? Is Eli Vanto still with the Chiss? Have the Grisks made their move? Like, there's a lot of stuff that we still have to get answered.
Well, that's what I want to get into next is some of the lingering questions or predictions that we might have for Season 2. And I want to kick it off. Well, you already started, but I want to mention what the fuck was the cargo transfer? What cargo was it that Thrawn was gathering up? That was the whole thing. He said, even after shit kind of started going sideways, he said to Morgan Elsbeth, he's like, today was kind of a victory. We got our cargo transfer done. What is that cargo? Is it gold? Is it cortosis? I think maybe, possibly.
It could be cortosis.
I think it's going to be cortosis. I'm fucking making that prediction right now. Just like I made the predictions about what Grogu's first name is going to be.
Could be Kyber, for all we know.
For you guys who
his
who
first
don't
name
know,
or his first word? You said first word. Right?
First words were going to be, this is the way, Grogu. But I think it's cortosis. And for those who don't know, in the Thrawn books where Thrawn was working with Vader and Padme, they come across this facility that had something to do with Dooku and the Serenians.
Yeah, Dooku is basically part of his court, is like
the
royal
Serenians
family, if you will, because he comes from lordship, and that's why he becomes Count Dooku, because he left the counthood to become a Jedi,
right.
And he basically took back his ancestral title of Count when he left the Jedi Order.
So they come into a facility.
His family is running a facility for the Separatists to develop armor that is lightsaber resistant to be able to combat the Jedi
and mechs that are also lightsaber.
Mechs.
And that's using an element called cortosis, which pretty much, if a lightsaber stabs at it, or it'll
probably has
turn
similar
off.
properties to, like, say, Beskar or something like that, where it's lightsaber resistant.
But the difference is it actually turns your lightsaber off. It like short circuits it.
Exactly.
So it became, well, how do we fight this? And Thrawn and Anakin at the time in this dual timeline thing figure out how to like counteract that, and kind of it all goes sideways.
Able to blow up the facility
right.
in the end.
And they know how to fight back against it, but all those people are gone now. But Thrawn is a master tactician that will go back to Clone War era technology and look for like old stuff that maybe they found a way to
well, even
like
with the buzz droids, because he had those couple buzz droids on his ship. Remember in the first Thrawn book,
right,
where he reconstructs them and has them like basically serve as sentries on his ship.
Right, and they're always like, why are you using this? It's old, but because it's old, there's a very specific way to beat it that everybody forgot.
Yep.
So Anakin knew how to counteract cortosis, and
even initially he was struggling with it.
Right, but now he's gone, so that might be what it is. Maybe it's cortosis. Maybe it's gold.
And that's why I'm saying, like, the yes, you have to consume a lot of media in order to fully understand the story, but you don't necessarily have to take all that in order to enjoy the show for the face value. But they reward the people that put in the time to learn the lore.
Right.
I feel like it's a direct reward for those people because they're mentioning things that you have a frame of reference for and all that stuff. And I started feeling that when I was watching Rebels, and Rebels is mentioning things that happened in the Thrawn book. And I'm like, this is amazing. This is really cool. Like, then I've never seen such a intricately woven story. And the fact that this all tells one great story is, that's why they had to start over. That's why they had to make all of the EU stuff not canon, because all the EU books put together didn't tell a cohesive story. Everybody told their own bullshit. And, you know, there was a million different timelines, and there was no way for Disney to be able to corral that into one cohesive story. And how do you pick and choose what's right, what's not right? So they decided to, you know, go their own route. But what I have respect for Disney is that they actually hired Timothy Zahn to tell the story of Thrawn. Because he was the one that created him.
Some other lingering questions. I mean, the Blade of Talzin, who's Talzin? Like, that's going to have to be some historical story, I'm sure.
I think, see, this is where, like, the even my knowledge is out. But I have a feeling it has to do with the Night Sisters of Dathomir. And
maybe he's a legendary Dathomirian.
Probably.
Soldier or something.
Sorcerer.
Just want to get to this quick question by Vin. He said, my question for the guys tonight, is it time to recast Luke Skywalker permanently? I'll kick that off. I'll go ahead and say it depends.
This is assuming that they're going to have a movie and Luke Skywalker, young Luke, will be in it.
Right. I think that the Luke that we saw in Boba Fett, the CGI was so phenomenal that if they're able to replicate that and do that for a longer, you know, scene or a movie.
Was it Boba or Mando?
I think it was Boba, right? Because he's training Grogu.
It all blended together.
Both.
Yeah,
I
think it was
Boba. The CGI in Boba
better CGI was in Boba.
Yeah. That's when he was training Grogu on that episode that was really more Mando than it was Boba. So if they're able to replicate that, I thought that looked phenomenal. I don't like recasting another actor into an actor who's iconic.
It's interesting.
And
We were
been
just
doing
talking
it
about
for 40 years. It's hard to unsee Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker. It's like when they recast, you know, Indiana Jones at some point. It's just they're never going to do that. Like it just won't fit.
It's like you were saying. We were talking about Joe just rewatched The Many Saints of Newark earlier, and you know when you watch somebody trying to play Paulie, you're watching a new actor try to portray what another actor was doing for a character. And it's sometimes there's like a disconnect there. So the question is, do they keep it with
my suggestion
CGI?
is no. My suggestion is if they're able to kind of afford to do that level quality of CGI for young Luke or Master Jedi Luke, I would say keep it the way it was. I don't want him recasted, but I'll let you guys kind of answer that question.
I think if Mark Hamill's still involved, and
especially
he's
if you can get him to voice it, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think what they're doing is he's speaking into something that processes his voice and de-ages it. So they're using AI, and I mean, if he's still involved with the character, it's not like he's dead, and we don't know how we would feel about it. Like if Mark Hamill is all good with it, then keep doing it. I agree. I think what they're doing is great. I mean, everyone keeps mentioning, was it Sebastian Stan or whatever the guy's name is? That apparently
because there's like memes online of him. I mean, you could always get somebody to kind of recast, but like it's not a matter of who you get. It's a matter of the fact that you're recasting a character that has what stood the test of time for over 40 years, being played by one actor who's still capable of voicing that character. I don't
touching
like it.
Loved characters.
I don't like it.
That's where like shows like Mando found their success because
like I was fine with
character. You can't fuck up an original character because it's an original character.
I was fine with them like casting young Leia. I thought she did a great job.
Right,
Obi-Wan.
If it's a kid,
it's a kid. She's a child. So if they want to recast Luke as a child, okay, but it's not going to be Jedi Master Luke anyone other than Mark Hamill. That's just my thoughts.
And they're not going to get Sebastian Stan if they're going to just CGI Mark Hamill's face over.
Yeah, because then what's the point of doing it at
no
all?
point
what do you think, Chris? Cast or CGI?
I think CGI and AI and all that shit. I'm all for it. I have no problem, if they continue to tell great stories with these people, as long as the actors themselves are okay with it.
I think From the Dungeon is correcting us. He's saying it was Mando, not Boba Fett.
Whatever. It all blends together at a certain point.
In the end of season 2 of Mando, Luke shows up down the hallway, destroys all the robots.
Oh God!
Takes Grogu.
Great scene.
And Boba Fett, he's doing the training.
Right.
Yeah.
But by then they had improved the technology because they hired this kid that fixed it on YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they had him
That's
go
the
back
CGI
and
I'm talking about.
They actually replaced the original CGI in Mando with this new kid's
So, Rob, are you unanimous with the CGI over recasting?
It would warm my heart to be able to see Luke and Han and Leia, You know, as
I don't
they
know.
were.
Well,
I don't know how you're gonna recapture that with Carrie Fisher being gone.
yeah, with all of them, I don't know.
Hey, if
like
they can
it's
do a
just
Biggie
Luke,
Smalls song with him being dead, they can recast.
they can do holograms now.
They could do.
I don't know. Yeah, you know, it's interesting. Like at first, I'm like, I'm all
If they
for
can't get
it.
Harrison Ford back on board, do you think it would be wrong for them to use his face and voice?
I don't
on
want all of
somebody
them.
else?
I just want Luke. I don't like. You don't have to bring everybody. I mean, it would be cool, but like you already got such a good, you know, what do you
But
call
you
it?
have to
Road
realize that
scholars.
if Princess Leia is going to be involved, and Han Solo is going to be involved because they're together at this point.
Well, she was involved from afar. You know, she sent that letter in defense of General Syndulla, which, by the way, 23rd Productions was saying, can we talk about the general lady? She was awful. I don't know if you're talking about General Syndulla, but I had no problems with
Harrison Dula,
no problem with
no
Syndulla,
problem with
you
that
know.
Twi'lek.
Yeah, I have no issues
No
whatsoever.
problem whatsoever.
She steals whatever scene she's in, you know, and her
Even when
droid
she's not
was great
facing
too.
the camera, especially when she's not facing.
Yeah, they really were pushing that. They really were like, here you go. So yeah, I have no problems with Syndulla. Let's see here. Some of the we have a lot of comments here. It's hard to keep up. Dead stormtroopers, clones brought to Dathomir. Sorry, I'm just trying to catch up here. Raided Tombs of the Night Sisters with more witches. Mando. Does Mark Hamill get a paycheck for being CGI? And there's a lot of questions about CGI. You know, do we do a full CGI movie?
I think if they're going to use Mark Hamill's face, Mark Hamill should be paid.
100%, and his
Oh,
voice,
yeah.
dude.
Vin said that CGI can do scenes, not movies. Vin said that Mark Hamill gave his blessings to Sebastian Stan, which that's interesting.
Oh wow.
From the dungeon said blessings are good, but does he still get a paycheck for using his face and voice? Did the kid have green hair because she was green? Yeah, the Jason
Oh, I know what you're
Syndulla. I
saying.
do have some questions with that. I didn't know that Twi'leks could breed with humans. And then I guess when they come out, they're not Twi'leks. They're humans with green hair. I thought that was a little weird. I will say I do feel like the plot line with that one like congressman that's just like fucking everything up and just like totally, you know,
That guy's a dick.
the guy's a dick. And I'm like, how many times are we gonna get one of these stories where it's
fucking
like
hate that one
we have
guy.
so much proven evidence of all of this
They should
horrible
let
shit that
Chopper
can
just kill
happen?
him.
Yeah, and the guy's just like, no. You know, Jedis? Is this a fairy tale? It's
Now,
like you
if
have
if
Leia on a
follow
council.
if you follow the canon story of Star Wars, then that guy gets his just desserts because that's one of the planets that they use the new like Death Star thing to blow up in the sequel trilogy.
Oh, really?
So he gets killed.
The fucking guy, you
By
know,
the
it's
First
like
Order.
I get the whole point. It's just like I feel like that's an overused plot thing where it's like we have a problem, but there's just one asshole in Congress that's gonna fucking totally obstruct anything from getting done. It's like I don't know. I feel like I've heard that story before, but you know, whatever. I didn't understand that a Twi'lek hybrid just has green hairs. Makes no sense. Yeah. It's Vin made another good point. He said the actors literally just fought against all of that AI shit that you're talking about. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, when I
They
heard
fought against it because they weren't getting paid. Imagine their tune if they're like, we're going to use your voice and your likeness, but you don't have to show up on set and we're going to pay you royalties.
yeah,
That's a
People would
completely
have no
different
fucking problem
topic,
with
though.
that.
Like we're talking about like AI, CGI taking over actual actors, and we're talking about like recasting a 40-year plus iconic character with someone completely
It's true.
different. That's
It's
a little
not like
that's-
James Bond where
that's-
every few years it switches.
I don't know, because we're
Luke
not going to have a
Skywalker.
Luke Skywalker show. He's not going to be prominent in any of the movie. He'll have a couple of scenes. Like I don't really see the need to do a new actor. It's just going to look weird. It's gonna fall flat. It's not gonna, regardless of who they pick. Like that
nobody's
person's
gonna be happy.
that person's already like set up
Fucked.
for failure.
Yeah, yeah.
He's just going to be hated
true.
regardless.
I mean, Sebastian Stan does have the following, so
Still, there's going to be that there's going to be that group who are like, fuck
Gonna
that.
be
It's Mark
off, you
Hamill.
know,
It's
it's-
just there's no way around that.
Sebastian Stan's going to bring his acting to it, and it's going to be different than Mark Hamill's, and it's not going to be the same.
It's not like Batman or Superman where they can recast and put a different actor under the cowl, under the cape. It's just
Right.
no one has been Luke Skywalker. other than Mark Hamill for over 40 years. It's going to be weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Any other lingering questions or any predictions for season 2?
Well, will we even get a season 2? Or are they going to go into like a Thrawn show or spinoff or...
It'll be Mando next. We'll probably get Mando. There's going to continue to be more crossover between Mando, Boba, and
what is this rumors of the Mace Windu show? Is that a thing?
I mean, people have been asking for it, and I think even Samuel L. Jackson said
I don't know
that,
if that would work though, unless it was a prequel show. It's like, all right, so now Mace Windu lived. Where the fuck has he been with all this shit?
But what's his?
Let's try to figure out how we can sneak people into the story where they're like. Because, like, if you're telling me that all these motherfuckers were alive and running around with the rebellion, why weren't any of these assholes there to help fight the Battle of Endor to take down the Emperor in the last, like,
and everything
it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
Oh, everybody was there. Yeah, they were just, you didn't see them. Come on.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep up with that.
Come
on. From the Dungeon set, I heard that Dave Filoni said that season 2 is still in talks, not 100%. Yeah, right. I mean, come on. They're going to keep doing it. They're going to keep doing Ahsoka. And it'll probably culminate with the movie. And, they don't just do one movie. They'll probably do fucking 3 movies. So
I just have a question. I don't know if anyone in the comments actually has an answer to this. Maybe from the Dungeon has. But do we know how the season of Ahsoka was received? Like the viewership that it garnered on Disney Plus? Was it like more or less than Mando? Like, do we have any? I like to look at numbers.
Maybe we can find.
Look up some numbers on that.
Pull up the numbers.
You see the numbers?
Hey, what are the numbers? There you go, Joey.
Let's see.
These are Joey's.
They're the ratings.
Joey being on the podcast.
It proves
Joey.
Disney Star Wars strategy is paying off. Get any hard numbers here though? Thrawn. Look at him. That's fucking face. That's what I wanted to mention is I really didn't love Thrawn, but it seems like the actor got better and better at playing him as time went on. His voice got better. He became more menacing.
Well, he was the voice of Thrawn in the Rebels cartoon show.
Right. I mean, my Thrawn is always going to be the audiobook Mark Thompson version of Thrawn. But he got closer and closer to that. He actually wasn't too far off. I really didn't. I started to like him, and even just like when the Night Sisters are doing their thing with Morgan Elsbeth, and he's just kind of like the whole time like in the background just smiling, like just he's got like this little like amused smile on his face watching like Morgan Elsbeth have her fucking soul transformed inside of her
souls immediately.
Yeah, you could tell he really doesn't have much like attachment to people because like when they were like Morgan is dead, and he was just like. She gave her life for the Empire.
Yeah.
He didn't have much of an affinity for anybody.
He's a calculating guy, It's the less people he owes favors to, the better. I mean, he didn't lose sleep over Arenda Price dying either,
Yeah, it's true. I love the gold stuff that they're doing, how that's, kind of filling in all the cracks of everything that just, like, looks super cool.
Yeah, it's
Oh, dude, and his ship too, the Chimera.
Yeah.
At the end, how it's like got like that circular thing that was originally part of Morgan's ship. It's now like attached to the Chimera.
Yeah, it allows you to jump like far distances without overclocking your ship. That's basically what that thing.
Yeah. I thought those things were normally detachable. Like they go into the ring and then go.
They are detachable, but they need to keep it connected in order to get the Chimera back to the normal. Universe.
I wonder if he's going to continue rocking that part of it, or if it'll go back to just a regular Imperial Star.
I don't think they're going to leave that big ring on there because more likely is that they're going to destroy that giant ring once he gets back, so that nobody can go back to that other place.
I wonder.
If I had to guess,
there's a lot of questions that remain to be seen. Trying to remember where it left off with Sabine and.
Sabine and
are they stuck
Ahsoka
on the planet?
Are stuck on the planet where Ezra was. But Ezra was able to meet up with the Rebel fleet once again, so he's with Syndulla, which proves that, everything that they were saying was true because he was alive. It wasn't just, a self-satisfying mission, and he brings tidings that Thrawn is back. So now it's setting the stage for another grand story struggle against the Empire. So this is going to be like truly like the Heir to the Empire story that we never got. So this is going to be something else. I can't wait.
Yeah, this is definitely making me feel a lot better about the future of Star Wars. Cannot wait to see all of these guys join together. You know, they're going to try to get Boba, we need you.
Avengers assemble.
It's going to be like the Avengers. Boba, you know, we need your help. Mando and Ahsoka.
I don't think Boba so much is going to get involved, or even Fennec.
I think he will.
I think it's going to be Mando with Bo-Katan and the
Mandalorians.
I think they're going to get the Mandalorian army to get involved.
They're going to go to Boba and be like, we need your help. You know, like they already have a relationship. They've all been on the shows together.
But
they've
Boba Fett doesn't have any loyalty to any government agency or to the Mandalorians themselves, because even Jango Fett was not a Mandalorian.
No, but he does have a partnership with Mando. Doesn't Mando call on him already, or doesn't he call on Mando for help at some point?
Well, he calls on Mando to help, I guess, establish his foothold on Tatooine.
Yeah. Yep.
But they've also, like, scratched each other's backs already, and I don't know if that kind of washes each other's hands.
I think he'll be back.
Of requirement.
Especially if they find a way, like, you know, the Empire does something that inadvertently fucks over whatever's going on Tatooine.
Because if Boba Fett was going to get involved, I think he would have gotten involved with the taking back of Mandalore.
Well, I mean,
that would have made more sense.
I mean, you know, he was doing his own thing. It didn't fit
he's
that
the
plot.
daimyo of his area.
They will find a way to make it, make that all come
So just
together.
a quick update from the dungeon. I appreciate you, D-Rod. He said, Ahsoka was rated number 4 in Star Wars Disney Plus shows behind Mando, Andor, and the Jedi cartoon.
That's what I wanted to ask you guys. All right, so we're gonna do we're gonna bring back an old segment.
Oh, no.
Who stays? Who goes?
Oh, no.
It's all right. I'm calling it audible. I think this would be a good one. Who stays? Who goes? All right. Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, or Book of Boba.
Well, that's going to be...
I feel like I want to leave Book of Boba because I feel like you guys are going to kill it.
Just do the 3.
All right, so Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, Mando.
I'll keep this short because, again, I don't have the knowledge base pre-existing from Rebels, from Clone Wars, from the Thrawn books to really appreciate what you guys have appreciated about Ahsoka. So for me, seeing Hayden Christensen don Darth Vader's helmet again and have an awesome lightsaber battle with Ewan McGregor,
It's fucking awesome.
you cannot top that. So for me, Ahsoka's got to go.
Ahsoka's going.
Yeah, I would never get rid of Mando. That's out of the question. Mando's the best piece of Star Wars in the last 40 years. So for me, like, Ahsoka goes. I know Vin's going to say Obi-Wan because he wasn't a huge fan of Obi-Wan. Or he liked it. He didn't think it was great. But just to throw Vin's 2 cents in there.
I'm actually going to go Obi-Wan. I'm going to eliminate Obi-Wan.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because in the grand scale of storytelling, you can remove that show, and it doesn't change anything about the story.
It's exactly my reasoning as well. I was going to say Obi-Wan because of that exact reason. You need Mando. Mando needs to be there. If we don't have Ahsoka, we don't have Thrawn, and we don't have whatever is coming in the future. Whereas Obi-Wan was awesome, and honestly, I liked Obi-Wan probably more than Ahsoka. But I would be okay getting rid of Obi-Wan because if we never had it, we still have everything that we had with Obi-Wan and that character, and we really didn't need it, though it was awesome. I agree. I enjoyed seeing it. I enjoyed Obi-Wan more, but I'd be more okay losing it over something like Ahsoka, which I enjoyed a little bit less, but I know is going to give us a lot of good shit going forward. I mean, Thrawn,
That's fair.
Gotta have Thrawn. So that was an easy vote. Let's see what we're saying in the comments here. Jacob says Obi-Wan is out. Hell says peace to Ahsoka. From the dungeon said Mando and Ahsoka, peace out. Oh, all right. He's keeping Mando and Ahsoka. He said peace out, Obi-Wan. Vince said when the Mandalorians find out that Fran is back, war. Now my comments are getting all fucky over here.
Yeah, Third Production says Obi-Wan messed up the canon.
just pretend we never saw each other. Well, no, I mean, they don't do that. She says, help me, Obi-Wan, you're my only hope. So she already has some sort of a relationship with Obi-Wan. I always wondered that.
Yeah,
she reaches out.
But listen, this is the problem with them trying to sneak stories in between, like, the original stories, is that they keep dropping the ball, even with Rogue One. Now, the entire conversation at the beginning of Star Wars between Darth Vader and Princess Leia makes no fucking sense.
That's true.
Because Darth Vader saw the Tantive 4 blast off. The transmissions were not beamed to the ship. They were hand-delivered by keycard to the fucking ship, and he saw it blast off. So that conversation no longer makes sense. When Darth Vader sees Obi-Wan Kenobi and says, when I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master. He was a fucking Sith Lord already by the time Obi-Wan Kenobi comes out. You know what I mean?
But he still lost, didn't he?
All of these things just don't make any fucking sense. They don't need to exist. It's cool visually. Do it as a Visions episode. Do it as a Tales of the Jedi or some one-off shit that's not canon. But don't start fucking with the main story and trying to make me swallow this pill.
I don't think it really...
Obi-Wan and Darth Vader fucking saw each other years before Star Wars and fought each other.
I feel like it was worth the sacrifice.
Just gave up searching for him. No, it's bullshit.
Worth the sacrifice. I'd rather watch Obi-Wan and enjoy it than
But then the same thing could be said. How the fuck is his name Luke Skywalker? How the fuck does Darth Vader not know there's a fucking Skywalker?
That's true.
That's
the first thing I said, too.
You know what I mean?
Well, when does he... He doesn't come
saying,
across Luke.
They didn't even bother changing his name to hide him. Princess Leia Organa. All right, how the fuck is she Darth Vader's kid? But there's a fucking kid living in Luke's house, in
Uncle
Smee's
Owen.
house, fucking named Skywalker.
Yeah, I mean, there's always
going
to
be...
be...
all the people that fucking lived on the planet knowing Anakin Skywalker before.
He went to pilot school.
But they all assume Anakin was dead. They don't know that he's Vader. They think that he's dead.
Yeah, but if there's a kid from Tatooine named Skywalker, you don't think that Darth Vader would find that interesting? He was about to apply for the Imperial Academy.
Do you think that Obi-Wan shielded that from him? And that's why he was on Tatooine, and he protected Luke's, not only Darth Vader picking up his presence, but any recollection of the name or anything like that. Do you think Obi-Wan, that was his like focusing goal?
Well, Obi-Wan was on that planet to watch out for Luke.
Yeah, we know that.
Doesn't Luke get kidnapped at the end of Obi-Wan? Didn't they end it with like a cliffhanger?
No.
Like Luke gets kidnapped or something?
No. An Inquisitor shows up to the Lars homestead.
Leia gets kidnapped.
He gets killed.
Yes.
The Inquisitor gets killed. And then that was the other thing, is that in the end of Rebels, Darth Maul finds out that Obi-Wan's on Tatooine. And Obi-Wan, like, fucking seriously takes out, like, Maul in, like, one fucking move. And Maul puts it together that Obi-Wan's protecting something on that planet. And he's, like, the one that you're, like, protecting, like, is he, like, the one that's going to be able to stop them all? And Obi-Wan's like, yes. Like, it really, like, I'm telling you, Chris, you got to fucking make your homework to watch the Rebels show, because there's
You
so
served
many
my father in the Clone Wars.
gems in
Which
that
is still
shit.
true.
Well, it's even with the hologram. You served my father in the Clone Wars. She wouldn't have had to say that if she already fucking knew.
I think we're quibbling though over minor, things
But why do it if you know it's not going to make sense to the original source material?
I don't think it really.
What's more canon than the original fucking movies?
Yeah, but it's not like they're flipping the whole script. It's like they're taking a few errant lines that they had
They're
no
moving
foresight.
they're moving the goalpost. They're changing the narrative and they're moving the goalpost.
Greorge fucking Lucas re-released Star Wars like 10 times, and every time he fucking
fundamentally
edits it.
changed the story when he did that. He added fucking rocks in front of R2-D2.
The Greedo shot first.
Greedo
shit,
shot
that
first.
Does that change the outcome of
There's
Star
plenty
Wars?
of people that quibble
it doesn't
about
change,
this shit.
It doesn't change.
Does the fucking Death Star not blow up at the end of the fucking
It doesn't
movie?
change Star Wars, but it does change how you look at the character Han Solo. Because now
They made him less of a scoundrel. That's
Correct.
What they
That's
did.
what I'm saying.
Correct.
It's a minor thing, just like these other, few throwaway lines that are, now there's ambiguity around it. But they didn't know that they were going to be making series in the future, so you kind of have to accept that with any
But
kind
on
of
the same
fantastical...
token, they also didn't have the conversation with Jabba the Hutt for the longest time. They added that in later. Jabba the Hutt was originally going to be a human being with a Scottish accent.
Yes.
And then they CG'd in the fucking space slug once they
Yeah,
came
and then
up with that
they
concept
added that
for Return
stupid
of the
fucking
Jedi.
song at the beginning of the cantina, the fucking Jawi and the Boo-Wah and the Ma. The kind of weird ass fucking music that
How's
nobody
that go?
wanted.
How does that go again?
It sounds even worse when I hear myself on the mic, but it's like this awful. Yeah, they got like a fucking Louis Armstrong alien fucking singing over, like.
Fuck, well, yeah, but Ty Snoodles and Droopy McCool and Max Rebo were in the original fucking. They just had shitty music back then.
Or even, you know what I
And
hate?
the Baruch recital.
You know what I hated more than anything was the change to the celebration at the end when they win the
I
war.
like the music that they came up with.
Oh my god, it was so fun. I hated
What,
that.
you like Yub Yub better?
Yub Yub. Well, what? Yub Yub was the original, and then they changed it with the other thing? Yeah, wasn't Yub Yub the edited version?
No, Yub Yub was the original version, and then it was do 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 do.
I just remember all the people
that's the
celebrating
remake music.
across the world.
And then they started adding other planets and shit that they showed in the original the prequel trilogy, like they had whatchamacallit.
I'm clipping that part.
Why?
I'm fucking clipping it.
What, the Jawi, the fucking... Let's find the video. I'll find the video. Yeah, well, no, there's something he says in particular. He says something like fucking... I forget the lyrics to it. I used to remember. So we got some other comments here. Jacob said Skywalker isn't like being a Smith. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not... Let's see here. This is what happens when you write a movie in 1976 and it lasts 50 years. That's what Vin said. Exactly.
True.
You have to have some leeway here. Phil Dunphy's in the house. He said, "What do I miss? What did I miss? Is Chris eating a Star Wars cream pie?" Absolutely. I think that finale of Ahsoka, everybody was eating cream pie that night.
Holy shit.
Stephen Bias said he loved that song. I don't know if he meant Yub Yub. He said, don't be taking a dump on Yub Yub. Gotta love Yub Yub.
Steve.
We love some Yub Yub here. Ooba.
Oh, God.
Ooba.
Oh, this is too much.
Oh, my God.
I will say that there was a missed opportunity. They came out with a 3-pack of the Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Yoda spirits at the end of Return of the Jedi. They should have had a swappable head between Hayden Christensen and Sebastian Shaw, who was the original Anakin Skywalker in the original movie. They should because if they're gonna leave his face like that in the scene with Luke Skywalker knew him as Sebastian Shaw. He's gonna probably see like this fucking young spirit, like, who the fuck is this guy?
He'll know because he could sense it. That's how they are. They could sense the presence,
yeah.
you know.
My ass, sense my asshole. I should never change it. But then if they didn't change it, then the show wouldn't have made sense because Hayden.
Vin says if the Bible can change, anything can change.
Sure.
And I'm going to follow that up with the Rocky IV quote. If I could change,
you
could change, everybody could change.
Oh, man.
All right, let's roll
Two
over.
guys
What we got beyond Star
killing
Wars?
each other, but I guess that's better than 20 million.
Oh, man. So the next thing, the topic we kind of wanted to cover, and it's just going to be a short topic, and then we have a final topic for you guys tonight. Adam Copeland, a.k.a. Edge, made his debut in All Elite Wrestling. Chris, when I sent you the meme of that, you gave it a thumbs down. So why don't you kick off your reactions and your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts have changed a little bit, as more things have come to light. I wasn't thrilled that he went to AEW because I don't watch AEW regularly. I've tried, but it's just
17 years with WWE.
17 years. AEW, I watched that exploding barbed wire death match that just ended with the firecrackers, and I can never
keeps going back to that.
Sorry, it's fucking. You guys keep going back to the finale of Game of Thrones. It's when you see something.
God.
Except it was worse. It was way worse. And what I will say though is he had like a press conference where he's pretty much talking about. All right, he might have even put it out just as a written statement where he was saying why he went, and he pretty much said, WWE was like, we don't have anything for you.
He cut a promo in the ring.
It's like, how do you not have anything for Edge? He's one of the greatest of all time. There's so much storytelling that you could have done. No, it's because they want to keep fucking pushing this bloodline fucking dead shit fucking jump the shark fucking story with the bloodline. It's like I said a week or two ago. How many fucking storylines and careers have been fucking killed just in favor to put more bloodline bullshit on
John
TV?
Cena's back and he's wrestling tomorrow night, and that's why probably they don't need Edge.
They're putting him on NXT too. I mean, that's the thing is, do they need him? No, of course not. But I mean, it's fucking Edge. The fact that you don't have, I feel like they focus on the younger guys, and I could appreciate that. But then it's at the expense of these careers like Kurt Angle, just Baron Corbin retirement match, nothing happened. How do you fuck that up? How do you fuck up Kurt Angle's retirement? Edge, just randomly on one night he retires he fights Sheamus, and that's it. He's done.
It was in Toronto, but yeah.
Okay, it wasn't this magical fucking thing. It just came out of nowhere.
Not everybody's going to get a Ric Flair retirement match where you have a full weekend of a WrestleMania match, a Hall of Fame induction. Next night on Raw, they give you I mean, it sucks. Like, I would have liked Hulk Hogan. I would have liked Bret Hart, all these guys, Shawn Michaels, to get that, type of send-off. But Edge didn't really get nothing. He got something.
It was a little something. But, I mean, it was just...
I get it.
They could have done something way better than that.
And who's to say that? I mean, he's still a Hall of Famer. Yeah. He's going to be linked to the WWE forever.
Yeah.
There's never say never when it comes to things like that. For me, he's going in at the tail end of his career. He's going to do like a Daniel Bryan. He's going to try to wrestle some guys he never wrestled before. He's maybe going to, rekindle a tag team with Christian. And if you haven't seen that interview he did on Dynamite this week, it's really awesome. So he came out, he talked about why he's here, why he came to AEW, similar to what you said. He wants to wrestle.
A moment with Christian in the ring.
Yeah, right? With Christian.
Even Bias brought that up.
Yeah, he talked about definitely. If you guys should check that out, it was an awesome segment, and watch the unedited version. It's even better because I'll tell you what he says. But he's talking to Christian, and he's telling him how much he loves him, and even though he's a prick, he can.
It's like, this is why I came here. So now is the time. We're gonna team up. We're gonna fight. We're gonna go against FTR.
Yep.
We can go against all these different tag teams that are there.
Yeah.
And then they give each other a nice embrace, and everybody's cheering. And then
Christian picks up the mic, goes, "Go fuck yourself."
Yeah, he told Edge to go fuck himself, and then walked out. And Edge was just like,
"It's so good."
And then
Christian is money right now.
Christian's great.
Is fucking money.
He's definitely been great.
Like, his heel, like in AEW, has been fucking.
His
phenomenal.
gimmick, Rob, is he pretty much just points out everyone's parents are dead. He'll be like, "Oh, your dad's dead. He's just a dick," and
amazing.
like there'll be like these.
It's not very Christian of him, is it?
Yeah, no, not at all.
But yeah, I think Edge can do some nice things. I think supplementing, what most people consider a toxic cancer like CM Punk, and maybe they took his paycheck and gave it to Edge and were able to kind of bring him in and pay him, adequate for what he was probably asking for.
I'm happy for him. I think, Edge does deserve a place.
He does have some life left. He's in great shape. He kept himself in amazing shape for his comeback. He's lean as fuck. His fucking face is basically sunken in. That's how fucking lean he is.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see, he'll be able to, wrestle guys he's never wrestled before. And there's a lot of guys in AEW who are really fucking good that the WWE does not have. Their roster is still stacked, regardless of the fact that you think.
Well, that's the problem is it's too stacked usually.
Well, they have 3 shows now. They have Rampage, Dynamite, and then they have the new show.
Their ratings aren't doing too good though.
They'll get there. They put 83,000 people in the fucking Wembley Stadium, dude. That was more than SummerSlam.
They didn't put 80,000. They came out with the number and it was actually like 72,000, which is still a lot.
No, they said 83. It came out
83,000 purchased tickets, but the amount of people that actually showed up was 72,000.
10,000 people didn't show up. They bought a ticket. What?
That's the whole thing right now. Everybody's saying, "What do you mean?" And then that's where there was Conrad Thompson had in his show where they were talking. Tony Khan probably bought a couple thousand tickets just to be able to say that he beat the record. But the official government number, you could look it up, for Wembley that night was like 72,000 people.
There's some flaming going on in the comments, and I want to address a couple of things. Steven's Bias said, if you haven't seen Edge, Christian tell Edge to go fuck himself. It was amazing. I agree.
It makes me want to watch again.
Yeah.
Truthfully, it makes me want to give AEW another chance because I could really appreciate that there's these people that are great that are being pushed out, for these younger talent, which I don't really care about the younger talent. I want to see the guys that I know.
Well, From the Dungeon says WWE doesn't need The Rock or John Cena. And then we're talking about Stephen Bias is, wow, From the Dungeon really wants me to flame him now. He said, Christian is the greatest Canadian wrestler of all time. D-Rot, don't fucking start. All right?
He knew that. He knew that would
trigger me.
He's got a little shit-eating grin on right now. He knew that would trigger you.
And Steve is a huge fan of the Edge and Christian team. I like them. I'm not like a... Steve says they're top 5 all time. I disagree with that. I can give you 10 teams that I enjoy.
Edge and Christian?
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about one of the most famous tag team matches of all time...
Oh, I'm not disputing
TLC.
the contributions and the matches that they had in TLC and the ladders and things like that, but
they were only together in a tag team for a couple of years.
Top 5 of all time, they're in my top 10 maybe, but top 5 I can't do that.
Who's your top 5 favorite tag teams?
The Hart Foundation, the Dudley Boys, Demolition, the Road Warriors.
Demolition.
Oh yeah, 4-time World Tag Team Champions.
Wait, Demolition was
Axe and Smash.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking you meant fucking Earthquake and
that's a natural disaster.
Yeah, I was thinking natural disasters. Road Warriors, Steiners.
Road Warriors and the Steiners would be right up there. Harlem Heat is up there.
Hardy Boys aren't even on there.
Hardy Boys would be a top 10. Arn and Tully would be a top 10. The Rock and Roll Express would be a top 10. Midnight Express is probably a top 10.
The Killer Bees.
I put Edge and Christian in my top 5.
Killer Bees.
Here's the thing.
Killer Bees ain't top 5. The British Bulldogs are in the top 10. To me, the British Bulldogs in the 80s, they transcended the business in terms of what the Hart Foundation and the British Bulldogs, the matches that they were having were like 10 years ahead of the curve that they were having.
Think
in the
about
80s.
this, though.
The Mega
Powers. Of all these tag teams that you've named, those two guys as individuals never were both of them stars in their own right. Whereas with Edge and Christian, both of them
Edge was a much bigger star than
Edge was a much bigger
Christian
star.
was still Marty Jannetty in my book.
Well, but that's because Vince McMahon personally just thought Christian was ugly and didn't like him. That's the truth. It's the truth. He thought Christian was ugly,
skinny and hairy, and all. I heard.
Didn't really like him, and
I heard it.
There's. And think about that. Your career is now fucking hamstrung.
He didn't have the Vince seal of approval in terms of his look.
Meanwhile, he was one of the biggest people in TNA.
He's an amazing heel.
Amazing in TNA.
Yeah.
He had his own thing.
I loved his theme music in WWE though. Christian.
Yeah.
At last, you're on your own.
And he got the belt in WWE. He did get the World Heavyweight Champion for
Never
like a
was
day.
the WWE champion though.
No, but World Heavyweight Champion in my eyes at that point is the same thing.
Bullshit WCW hand me down.
Well,
Sorry.
I disagree.
Sorry.
It means more now than the WWE belt means. Seth Rollins, honestly, whatever you think of Seth Rollins, at least you're fucking seeing the belt. Roman Reigns, who gives a fuck?
We could talk an hour
Longest
about that.
reign of all time, but he's not fucking on. Who cares? He's not there. It doesn't mean anything.
Oldest ride.
Longest line.
Woo!
I would put Edge and Christian in my top 5.
So give me 4 more then.
Oh, well, if you want to give my top, Dudley Boys.
Yep.
Edge and Christian.
Yep.
Road Warriors.
Yep.
Stuff. I'd have to think about that for a little while. DX.
DX is not a tag team. You say the New Age Outlaws?
Hunter and...
That's not a tag team.
Hunter and Sean?
No, that's not a fucking tag team.
They had both. They had.
That's a faction. They weren't. The tag team in DX was the New Age Outlaws. If you want to put them,
I will put the New Age Outlaws on there because I love them.
But don't say
up.
Sean and Hunter. That's not a fucking.
They were a tag. They
never
fucking had the belts together.
3 fucking matches they had together. Get out of here,
man.
That's like saying the Rock
original...
and Sock Connection are the fucking greatest tag team of all time. They had like 2 matches together.
Yeah.
The Mega Powers.
The Mega Powers had 3 matches together.
The Power Trip.
No, Austin and Triple H.
Well, short-lived tag teams. You can't really.
I don't
on
put
there.
2 mainstay main event guys and put them in. The only 2 that I would say would make a top 20 list would be the Brothers of Destruction, Kane and the Undertaker. They were a fucking tag
I love
team.
the Brothers of Destruction.
Okay,
they'd be up there.
All right.
It's tough. There's a lot.
Hardy Boys.
Hell said that headbangers are better than Edge and Christian. That's just nonsense. The headbangers were like jobbers. They never really.
Hell's with a Z.
From the Dungeon said
the Bushwhackers.
The Bushwhackers. From the Dungeon said, I don't think Edge and Christian don't get the recognition because they never had a good tag team name. They were just Edge and Christian.
Well, here's my thought process in that. When you think about the matches they had with the Dudleys and Hardys, other than Edge spearing Jeff off the ladder, majority of those highlights came from the Dudleys and Hardys. Like the Dudleys and Hardys made those matches. Edge and Christian just happened to win them at the end. So I think that you kind of herald them in the same, category as the Dudleys and Hardys, which I don't. I think the Dudleys and Hardys are on a.
I'm pretty sure didn't Christian take a crazy fucking spill where they tipped the ladder?
They took some spills, but nobody did the shit that fucking Jeff Hardy did.
Nobody did. I mean, that's impossible.
So I mean, he was a highlight reel of those matches.
Yeah,
and taking that bump from Edge off the ladder that he was stuck. His foot was stuck in the ladder, and they were trying to rip it off of him, and he caught free, and he's hanging from the fucking ring, and he spears him off the top rope. That is probably one of the best snapshots in WrestleMania history. That move alone will go down in annals of time.
Well, the thing that the Edge and Christian are most famous for was the 5-second pose.
5-second pose,
which was hilarious at the time. They would, stop and do a 5-second
I liked Edge
pose.
and Christian when they were a comedy, heel team with Kurt Angle. They were fucking hilarious.
Yeah, Edge, Christian, and Kurt were
awesome.
a great combination. Team Eck, they called themselves amongst themselves. He has, Stephen Bias said, 7-time tag team champs. They were the heel tag team for the longest time, and there with Mick Foley was their work with Mick Foley. That's true. Mick Foley is commissioner. Like
that was funny
he's
too.
Commissioner Foley
good.
with Edge and
that
Christian.
Whole
hilarious.
time period was amazing.
The Rock and Sock connection. That's another thing.
Steve, now that you're in the comments, I want to hear your top 5 besides Edge and Christian, and it better be the Hart Foundation in there somewhere, or I'm kicking you off this chat.
No, it's not the Hart Foundation.
Well, he's definitely going to say the Road Warriors. He's going to say Arn and Tully. He's going to say the Midnight Express. He's a Cornette guy. He's a fucking, NWA. He grew up in the South, with that, and I grew up with East Coast WWF. So we got to get Steve on the podcast. He's got another book coming out. Steve is definitely going to be a good guest at some point for the podcast. I've been talking him up for a while, so he likes all the same shit we do. And if you ever want to get into it with someone about wrestling,
I love me some Jim Cornette. It's like my favorite podcast right now, honestly.
Yeah.
Another thing I kind of just realized, too, Edge and Christian did originally have a name because they were part of the Brood. That's really how they came in, was they were the Brood with Gangrel. And even then, I think they were the second Brood, because I think the Hardys might have been the original Brood with him.
They were.
And then it was Edge and Christian, and they would do the Bloodbath.
Yes.
And I don't remember if was the Brood part of the Ministry as well?
Yes.
They did end up becoming part of the Ministry.
Merged with the Ministry of
Corporate
Darkness.
Ministry.
And then the Corporate Ministry was like, all right, how many can you stack?
Corporate Ministry.
Do you remember the weird...
It was me, Austin!
It was me.
It was me all along!
Do you remember, and this is trivia for anyone in the chat, do you remember the group that was comprised to combat the Corporate Ministry?
The Union.
Oh, wow, he knew it. I was trying to get them to fucking
it could have been a good...
Who, give me the 4.
I bet you Hells would have gone.
Give me the 4 characters.
In the Union, it was, I remember their song, Union! It was Big Show, Mick Foley, Test?
No.
Big Show, Mick Foley.
Shamrock.
Ken Shamrock. Who else? I thought it was Test. I thought Test was in there.
No.
I have no idea.
You don't know? Look it up.
I'm not looking at Steve Blackman. Who the fuck was it? The Union. It was people who were screwed over by the corporation.
Right.
So it was at that point Big Show, Foley, Shamrock. Who was the last one? Was it a Star or was it like a kind of Al Snow?
Speaking of Al Snow.
We got to talk about wrestling.
Really want to talk about that real quick before we segue into the last wrestling thing. But The Wrestlers on Netflix.
Great show.
It's a documentary show about FCW.
OVW.
OVW, Ohio Valley Wrestling, which is now headed up by Al Snow. He's like the general manager of that.
They used to be like the
phenomenal
feeder for WWF back in the day.
It's where Brock Lesnar, John Cena, all these guys got their start.
Yeah. Really good show on Netflix. Even if you don't really like wrestling, it's just a great show. Phil Dunphy said that as a very extreme novice wrestling watcher, Kane and Undertaker were always the most endearing. Felt like there was a lot of heavy lore there. And I agree. Honestly, if I had to choose one of my favorite tag teams, I would say the Brothers of Destruction because
you were right about Test. It was Test.
It was Test?
Yes.
Oh, good. All right. I knew it. So who'd you think it was?
I was going to say Al Snow.
Was it Al Snow? Yeah.
No, it was Test.
Yeah. Kane and Undertaker, I mean, there's such a cool story there where, like, you can't even do that now, but, like, Kane has a brother that burned in a fire to death.
He's alive, Daddy! He's alive!
I was watching wrestling at the time when all that happened. I remember being like, "Oh my god!"
But when they finally,
kid
because
then.
they fought initially, you know, it was Kane versus The Undertaker, and it was just all this, you know, them fighting. But then when they finally joined together and like squashed their beef, especially if you've had brothers and, you know, like you could be fucking fighting with your brother 1 second, but then like, you know, you team up. Like it was a really cool like story of brothers. Definitely a lot of lore there. Stephen Bias gave his top 5 tag
let's hear it,
teams.
Stevie.
So he said number 1, Midnight Express.
I knew it. I fucking bastard.
Number 2, the Hart Foundation.
Thank you, Steve.
Number 3, the Freebirds.
Oh, wow.
Number 4, Team 3D, which is their TNA name. We'll call them
Dudley
the
Boys,
Dudley Boys. And number 5, Edge and Christian, followed by the Hardys and the Rock and Roll Express at 7.
Wow. No love for the Steiner brothers, huh, Steve?
Or the Legion of Doom for that matter.
Wow.
Yeah, the Road Warriors. Well, the Road Warriors are arguably the most successful tag team of all time. They call it the Road Warriors Pop because when they came out, they would get main event guy pop. Definitely fucking just. I mean, just look at them. You fucking with their
They're fucking cool looking guys. You
Yeah.
know? Definitely one of the most foreboding presences in wrestling, and one of the most easily recognizable with the big red spiky shoulder pads.
So last topic on wrestling before we move into the final topic, which is going to be next week is New York Comic-Con, and Rob has a lot of stuff he wants to share with you guys about that and a lot of memories, and it's going to be an awesome action-packed weekend for him. We will be off that week, so we will resume the following Friday.
Will we? Maybe I might do a game stream. I don't like
Me and you game stream?
That might be fun.
You guys can come to
we
the
could-
studio too.
don't
My
wanna
dad will be home, so you can let you in if you want.
If you want to
throw it out.
finagle something,
We'll try to do
all right.
something next week. I don't like skipping 2 episodes.
Steve, can
in a
you
month.
get down to New York by next Friday? Or D-Rod? From the dungeon. There's your call right there.
From the dungeon
Be
does
here by
want
next
to.
Friday.
He did say he'd
Yeah.
come
Yeah, but I
down.
won't be here, so welcome to my house while I'm not here. You know?
So I wanted to ask your opinion on, we talked about this a few weeks ago. Now they're starting to heat up with the rumors, and I think there's a lot of news sites out there that are officially reporting that CM Punk is in direct talk for a WWE comeback.
Right.
Do you think it'll happen? Do you want it to happen?
I've given my opinion on Punk plenty of times where I thought his pipe bomb was awesome, but after that I wasn't really a huge fan. I thought he kind of took his ball and went home. I thought he was a little sour grapes and a little toxic, honestly. When they brought him back to AEW, I wasn't all that excited because I kind of foresaw everything that ended up happening. I kind of called it. I'm just gonna say it's all in the vault there, just as proof. What I will say though is that I think this would be the best thing that could happen with CM Punk. I think it would be a nice like him coming home. I like when amends are made and things are made right, and like just like when Bret Hart came back to the WWE after all of those years after being screwed and fucking hugged Shawn and
He beat the shit out of Vince with a chair for an hour.
Yeah, and he beat Vince's ass even though he was
That
all
was tough
banged
to
up.
watch. That was tough to
He
watch.
was banged up. Yeah, he really couldn't go that.
I just felt bad for Vince. He took a beating from him.
He did, and
He fucking hit him with at least 10, 12 chair shots to the back.
yeah, and you know what? But I like that they, that's something that happens in WWE a lot is when they make things right.
But
And-
will they? And my only concern is yes, he could. What if he doesn't? What if Seth Rollins doesn't want anything to do with him?
And
There's a couple of guys.
I wouldn't miss him if he doesn't show up.
Well, I'm just saying, he's not going to be met with open arms. He's not going to be met like Bret Hart was met, which other than Shawn Michaels, who admitted that he was wrong for doing that, everyone wanted Bret back. All the production people, the writers, the announcers, the referees, they all loved Bret. CM Punk coming back, I'm sure it's going to be a mixed bag of people who are pro-Punk and people who just want anything to do with this guy because of his reputation and what he's kind of, done in his recent,
He's got his friends there. I mean, when he showed up backstage
Oh,
a couple months ago and it was big news, he's backstage at WWE.
Yeah, I
What is
know.
it? And that I remember there was a video of like Tamina Snuka talking to him and a couple of people.
I think it has to happen. I think
Does.
for him, for Phil Brooks, himself, I think he needs to rectify all the the smearing of the besmirching. I know you like that word. It's a William
Regal word. Yeah.
Besmirched his good name in AEW.
Well, he might have.
Whoever,
it's a little bit of both. It's
whoever did it, this is his
reputation is tarnished.
Yes, but this is his absolute last chance. If he fucks this up, he is done.
Well, but WWE is a much more professional environment where I don't think you're going to have situations like.
Oh, there's someone that's in control of the inmates. The inmates don't run the asylum in WWE. Triple H is not going to take any shit.
Right.
Nick Khan or Vince is not going to take any shit. Even when he has that mustache, he looks like a fucking villain from a James Bond.
Yeah, he looks like he's going to tie somebody up on a railroad track with some dynamite and fucking fly away in a hot air balloon.
He looks like evil Walt Disney.
Yeah. I think it would make sense, and one thing that was really interesting to me was when Vince was on Pat McAfee. He said I think they asked him do you have any regrets, and he's like no, and he's like I have one regret, and he pretty much said that he regrets that when CM Punk was when CM Punk was fired from WWE initially, he was on his honeymoon. And it was just like, you can fucking fire me on my honeymoon? That's a dick move. And Vince pretty much said, that was his one regret. It wasn't intentional. They didn't know, but, he wished it didn't happen like that. Which, imagine you're CM Punk and you hear Vince McMahon's one regret was that he, the way that he fired you. That probably meant something to him. It was a public admission of, one of the things that really soured him as a person. So, I think it could be pretty cool. I don't see how they could build the company around him. He's older. If you're pushing out guys like Edge, but then you're bringing in guys like CM Punk, it just seems a little redundant. Doesn't make sense to me that you're going to say you don't have something.
Well,
for
no
one
one's
going
to take over what Cody Rhodes is doing, and I can tell you, being live at Nassau to see him, the crowd was nuts. All his merchandise flew off the shelves. So he's not going to come in and just take Cody's spot or Seth's spot or anything like that. He'll be a nostalgic / feeder towards the new guy's act. And I think From the Dungeon says, bring on the Punk. And then Steve says, just keep him on a short leash and he can make a lot of money for you. I agree. Yep. I think that's the way to do it, But
will he accept that? Will he accept being the older guy that puts over the younger guy? Or does he still want it to be, all about Punk?
I think somewhere in him he still has that want to be the main event at WrestleMania. That's the one thing that eluded him that he did not get.
Yeah.
And I think that was part in the reason when The Rock came back, how he turned sour grapes, because he should have been in that main event match with them, at least a 3-way match at MetLife, which is WrestleMania 29, which is the one where Cena finally wins the title back from The Rock. I think they should have infused Punk into that match. It would have been a more interesting match. With that being said, I think if he's able to get a main event spot, think about this. Think about, I'm just going to throw this out there, but WrestleMania 40, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus CM Punk.
I'm not itching to see it.
Come on, man.
See.
Come on.
Well, because one drinks and the other's not.
But the promos, the actual.
They've already there's too much respect and on the record.
There's enough there where they can rile it up and they can get it going.
I think that
you might
passed.
See Rock versus Roman this year and Austin versus Punk. I mean, those can be huge. If that happens, we're fucking going. I don't give a shit if it's in Philly or not. We're fucking going. Yeah. I don't care if Rob has to sit in the fucking goddamn,
skybox or something.
Yeah, we're fucking going.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens with his legacy. I would like to see some redemption there for him.
All right, Rob, let's take us home. Talk about what you got coming up next week.
Yeah, it's going to be New York Comic Con. And what's interesting about it this year is I don't remember it being ever this late. Typically, it's Columbus weekend, first weekend of
It better
October.
Not be Columbus up there.
Better not be Columbus up there. But it was typically happening right now every year past. It's going to be running from the 12th to the 15th this year. It's going to be the 11th year of me as real life Peter Griffin, which is fucking crazy to me. I can't believe that it's been that long.
Those cocksuckers never gave you a booth yet, right?
No. I mean, they don't give booths. In fact, if you wanted to have a booth, They're like, it's like fucking something like $10,000 to have a booth at New York Comic Con.
Well, because you're generating money
It's
off of
fucked
it, I guess,
up,
right?
like how much money it costs to like have a booth. So unless you're like a huge draw, you're not gonna.
You are a fucking huge draw. Whenever we go there, you can't fucking walk 3 feet without somebody trying to get a picture with you, and you don't charge anybody.
That's why, because they know I'm the approachable celebrity. You think they're gonna pull that shit with somebody that's actually famous? But New York Comic Con's always been good to me with the tickets and stuff like that. I'm looking forward to another fun show. I'm gonna be working the Sexy Nerds after parties on Friday and Saturday night. The first night it's gonna be at the Jack Doyle's bar at 9 p.m. And then Saturday night's gonna be at the Taylor Public House, and that's gonna be also at 9 p.m. I'll be with the real life Lois Griffin. We're gonna have some prints available to sell at the after parties, so we'll be bringing those along with us. It's just crazy how every year I look at it and I'm like, shit, it's another year as Peter Griffin, because that's like really like my anniversary show. Joey's really
Going to town
over here. But
we're getting some questions about he has no teeth. That's why his tongue goes.
He has
out.
no teeth. Yeah, he's a 13-year-old teacup Yorkie. He's real life Lois's dog, but he's also my son. And when she does like art projects and stuff, where she like works with like the sealant or the like glitter and stuff like that, she's afraid he's gonna like breathe in that shit. So like when she works on that kind of stuff, I watch him. So that's why he's with us for this episode. Lois and I just shot some promo footage for New York Comic Con last night. Those will be hitting the social media soon enough. But yeah, New York Comic Con is going to be great. I think I might go incognito on Thursday and see if I can bring my brother along. Because my brother was the one that started conventions with me back in like 2001. We used to go to this small show called Icon on Long Island. It was run out of Stony Brook University. The first year we went, we met Grand Maester Pycelle.
Your Grace.
Way before he was even him, because we knew him as Walter Donovan from Indiana Jones, and
he was in Star
also
Wars.
Admiral. What was it? Not was it Piet? No, not Piet.
I don't remember.
Admiral Fiat?
No,
He was younger in that.
I don't remember. But he was the commander of the AT-AT in the Battle of Hoth.
Yeah.
He was the one that blew up the shield generator. But he was the first celebrity, I guess you could say, that I ever met. I met him and Lurch that same day.
Wow.
The guy that played Lurch in the Addams Family movie. And then the next year I met Peter Mayhew, Chewbacca. So we went in 2001 and 2002.
Anybody that you expect to meet at this next upcoming Comic-Con you're going to?
Funny enough, one person that I'm excited to try to go see is Courage the Cowardly Dog's voice actor.
He's great.
Yeah, because, it's
And he
funny.
wears the pink, he has like a purple shirt.
Marty Grabstein actually has an Instagram, and if you listen to him talk, it's like listening to Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Yeah.
Like, I'm Marty Grabstein, and I'm going to be at New York Comic Con, so come down to see me. And it's like, it's
Pretty
so
good courage.
funny how
It's
he...
pretty good.
It's so funny. Like, it's like his speaking voice. Courage the Cowardly Dog will be there.
Yeah. That's pretty good courage. I'm sure he'd love meeting you, and he'd have a video up on his own Instagram.
So I'm definitely gonna have to get his signature. Vin's gonna be there with me one of the days at least. Like I said, I'll try to bring my brother tomorrow.
I'm kind of pissed I didn't get a ticket
Thursday.
because
Thursday
I'm getting this
tickets are
Thrawn
still
outfit.
available.
If you want to come Thursday, I'm gonna be going incognito, so it won't be so bad.
There's no tickets though. You can't
No,
go
you can
now.
get them. They're
Said Thursday
Thursday's
tickets
still
are still
available.
available.
$73 though. And I have my first work week. Otherwise, I would have went with you.
It's next Thursday. I probably can't get off.
Yeah, but it's gonna be a good time. 4 days of action-packed shit. I'm gonna try to get as much footage as I can. I'm terrible with that though. Personally, it's why I depend on Vin, because Vin at least can pull out the camera and record the experiences that I'm living. Gotta
bring some break room podcast stickers or something.
we gotta have some kind of shit to hand out. I've been telling you.
Telling you.
We need some official
we need
merch.
We do need
business
official
card
merch,
or
yeah.
some shit.
Give away a free shirt
Business
every
card
week
is
instead of an
antiquated.
audiobook or something.
Yeah, but you got a QR code on there. You stick it to your nipples. You can let people scan
that's
it.
nice. Maybe pins or something. Stick
it.
those to your nipples.
Right there.
Go home, Yoko.
Let's go home, Yoko. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another exciting episode of the Break Room Podcast. Like I said, we're gonna be taking off next week for New York Comic Con. It's gonna be great. crazy, but Chris might cook
do
up
something.
something for you guys.
Maybe me and Joe.
Maybe a gaming stream or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the week
do
after
Jack
that's
the
going to be my
Sangria.
fucking birthday, which is insane. My birthday's on the 20th.
And it's also going to
So-
be the 2-year anniversary of our podcast.
Yes,
Two
that
fucking
is
years. Can you
coming
believe
up.
it?
2-year anniversary of the
Time
break room.
flies when you're having
2
fun.
years in a break room.
No.
Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. I got to break your balls. It's going to be a year and a half for Joe because of all the episodes he's missed.
Fuck you. I told you I'm Brock Lesnar. I make
Help.
special appearances. Shit. Hey, I'm
He's
5
Bret
weeks.
Hart. He shows up early. And he shows up late and he leaves late.
And I still
Early.
put on the best match of the night, motherfucker.
But if you guys like the show, please like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends. The Break Room Podcast. We're
Rip
going
off
to be
Joe
working
Rogan.
on getting guests on the show for you guys. We got a few celebrities that are lined up that have shown interest in being on the show. So once we come over that technical hurdle, we'll definitely have you guys on. This has been the Break Room Podcast. Snoochie Boochies, and may the force be with you.